Hello again, and for today I'm going to be doing my first dive, I would say, into the topic of racism. And as the suggestive title states, there is only one form of racism that is culturally acceptable in today's society and climate, and that, of course, is anti-white racism. Now, I think everybody who's on my channel kind of understands what anti-white racism really is. It is the result of the left's redefinition of racism to mean prejudice plus power plus bigotry equals racism, or whatever the real definition is. I just know that prejudice plus power part is inherently foreign to the actual definition of racism. But because of this, the powerful people that the left considers to be its own group are white people. And so it is now culturally acceptable to be racist towards white people. And as a result, we see a lot of activated minorities, particularly black people, are really getting woke. They're really being activated by this new definition of racism, which ironically was made up by white progressives and white leftists and subtly white leftists and progressives. We'll just call them Jewish. But this is now the modern dilemma of what is considered racism. Because I'll be going over Asian identitarianism tomorrow, but to focus everything on these black people who are, very racially motivated nowadays. They are a group of black Americans that have become unknowingly racist, separatists, and black supremacists. And this to me is quite a danger. I mean, we've seen it in attacks in Jersey City and Muncie, New York, that, when a Black Hebrew Israelite is motivated to go after other races, specifically the Jewish oppressors that, try to kick their neighbors out of their apartments so they can build more bullshit, it causes real-world dangerous violence. And, I disavow all political violence, but the fact that, the actions of these white progressives and Jewish progressives are leading to their own destruction has to be called out. It just has to be called out. Because this is fundamentally not acceptable. And, when you see it happen, when you see your friend who is, different from you, a white person, being racially motivated to hate the people that quote unquote put the brother down, you gotta fucking say, hey man, you're being motivated to commit racial hatred. Okay, this will only lead to civil war in the end if you do not stop and see it and call it out. Most specifically, to call it out. Because honestly, it's the only real solution I have to this problem, culturally acceptable racism, is to call it out. When you see a white person self-flagellating online or in public, you call them out and say, hey, why do you hate yourself? You shouldn't hate yourself. You exist. You create stuff. You're supposed to be doing stuff with your life, not self-flagellating because your fucking Jewish Marxist professor told you to, okay? Or white. Let's be real. The white woman and her consequences have been a disaster to society. And Jesus Christ, man. The self-flagellation of the white woman has created this group of racially activated minorities. And what is there to really do other than to call it out? There's really nothing I see that can save us, the right wing, with this culturally acceptable racism. And to those milquetoast conservatives out there, do not fall for this shit. Do not defend these people. Do not play into their games, because they want the eradication of the white people, and they are so transparent about it. Even if, as white progressives and white leftists, they will still marry within their in-group of white people. Meanwhile, they will just berate lower-class white people for being white, even if they have mixed race families. I mean, again, this is culturally acceptable racism. This is the only form of racism that you can openly pronounce in society. And again, I really see no solution other than to call it out and make fun of the person who wants to virtue signal in public for brownie points from people that they don't even know. So, I don't know why, but I've been into the very kind of short, concise commentaries this week. So I'm going to wrap it up right here. And, again, when you see anti-white racism, particularly from white leftists and white progressives, you need to call them out on their shit, okay? These are the people like Steve Shives who live in fucking all-white neighborhoods. These are the people like Steve Shives who marry into their in-group. This is not the way to be an anti-racist. This is a way to stoke and fan the flames of racial hatred and group division. So, in conclusion, to all of these self-flagellating white progressives, Jewish progressives who claim to be white, who are constantly just self-flagellating all of this anti-white racism, you retards better tread lightly, because the beast of your own creation will be your demise.